But let's start with a Champions League edition of what does it mean to Christian Pulisic? Herc, it's a question we ask all the time, but I feel like it's especially important today. Unless you've been living under a rock, you saw what happened Tuesday. He gets the only goal in a 1-1 draw for Chelsea away to Real Madrid in the Champions League semifinal. First ever U.S. men's national team player to score at this stage. Herc, what does it mean for the career of Christian Pulisic, this performance?
For the career, we're not putting him with the likes of Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey. We're now talking about the all-time best, at least at the club level. There's no disputing that. I mean, he only has the World Cup stats to pretty much back that up. He has to get those. He has to get the Clint Dempsey goals at the World Cup. He's got to get the Landon Donovan big moments at the international stage. But can you really touch him at the club level if you're Landon Donovan, if you're Clint Dempsey? I mean, he's 22 years old, and he's just got the big game presence in him. Look at this. Notable Christian Pulisic goal notes. What he's been able to do at such a young age, and it's like the stage gets bigger, and he grows in confidence. The last 6 games, he's got 4 goals. He's clearly earned the trust of Thomas Tuchel. He had a blinder of a game versus Real Madrid, one of the biggest, most storied clubs in the world. And listen, yes, the goal was beautiful, the way he brought it down. Rudiger found him in space, he brought it down. But the presence of mind, the composure, and then he saw Timo Werner, and he was like, you know what, Timo, I'm sorry. I gave you one in the 9th minute. Nice little lofted header right there. You missed it. I'm going to take this myself. Gets past the defenders, gets past Thibaut Courtois, and then lifts it and into the back of the net. He's showing me different parts of his game that I didn't know he had. And every single time he steps on the field, you can just see the confidence oozing out of him.
As far as what it means for Christian Pulisic's career, I think at some point there probably were some doubts, if not internally, at least externally. Could he compete at this level? Could he make an impact at this level? I think he proved on Tuesday he can make the impact at this level. And I think to go back to something that we saw in that graphic, he is the first American to do it. So, Herc, I think there'll be more nights like this in Christian Pulisic's career. When I think about the American game, I think you can pull it out even bigger picture and say this was a watershed moment. This is the first time an American player on this stage has been the guy in the game. That's telling me something.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, DeMarcus Beasley did it, back in 2005, 2006?
Yeah.
We'd have
but
to
not
go,
with a club like Chelsea.
No, not with a club like Chelsea, and not versus a club like Real Madrid. And this is the thing. He's doing it at the level he's doing it right now. And it's not like it's a one-off. He's proven it before, whether it's Liverpool in the Super Cup, whether it's FA Cup final versus Arsenal, whether it's the Pokal, with Dortmund versus Bayern Munich. It's just one after the other. He keeps proving his worth. And right now, it's not can Christian Pulisic do it for. It's can he stay healthy enough to keep doing it.
Yeah, there was a time when we weren't sure if he fit in Thomas Tuchel's plans. I think that question has certainly been answered. All right, let's bring in a third member here on Futbol Americas, none other than the pride of Howard University, and many other things too. Trinidad and Tobago, ESPN FC, Shaka Hislop joins us. It is a Thursday, so I know why he's smiling, because Thursdays at ESPN FC mean Power Rankings Day, and that's good. Is that algorithm warmed up over there? Because we're going to call on it later.
Yeah, that's all right. The algorithm has had to go through some twists and turns during the course of the day, thanks to Manchester United taking the lead, going behind, and then just blowing Roma out of the water. So there's been some twists and turns, but we got there in the end. Happily to report, Sebi.
All right, Shaka, I want to dive into something that another pundit, a fellow pundit of yours, said from the other side of the Atlantic. Jamie Carragher, this is in reaction to what we saw from Christian Pulisic on Tuesday. And the natural comparison comes up, we understand it, between Pulisic and Eden Hazard. Quote, I'm a big fan of Pulisic, but I don't think he'll get to the level of Eden Hazard. Apologies, he won't. Now, he continued to say Hazard was the best player in the Premier League for 4 years, and he was the best player in the World Cup in 2018, reminding everybody that's the level he's talking about anyway with Eden Hazard. Shaka, the basic premise of all this is that there's no way that Christian Pulisic, who is only 22 years old, could ever get to Eden Hazard's level. Do you agree with that?
On the one hand, yes, I do. Listen, I think it's easy to forget exactly how good Eden Hazard was when he was at his best at Chelsea. It's easy to forget because he's been that poor for Real Madrid. But Eden Hazard in a Chelsea shirt was as good as the Premier League has seen for quite some time at doing what he does. I don't think the Premier League has seen somebody with that skill set and that level of consistency for for quite some time. So I don't think that's disrespectful to Christian Pulisic. I just found it a weird comparison to make. Why are we sitting here comparing Christian Pulisic or anybody else against arguably the Premier League's best and most consistent player in the last 4 seasons that he was there? I find that a little bit cheap, a little bit silly.
Yeah, it was a little bit cheap, and it is a little bit silly because he's speaking in absolutes. You can't guarantee Christian Pulisic won't do more than what Eden Hazard has done. Listen, Eden Hazard was a fantastic player. Premier League titles, over 100 goals, almost as many assists with Chelsea. Easily the most consistent performer the Premier League has seen in quite some time. But Christian Pulisic at 22 is 90 minutes away from doing something that not even Eden Hazard has done. Get to the Champions League final with Chelsea. Christian's an enormous talent, but I agree with Shaka. Speaking in absolutes and then comparing him to Eden Hazard is just a strange thing to do. I don't see the reasoning behind the comparison, but if we're going to go pure numbers, if we're going to go, it's ridiculous and it's silly. But also, I mean, 90 minutes away from a Champions League final, so what are we talking about?
All right, fair enough. Shaka, you've got your CONCACAF top 5 rankings that you did on this show a little while ago. Certainly, we would at least say this about Pulisic. If that formula was updated today, he'd be in your top 5, right?
Yeah, no question. I mean, when I did that, I think Christian Pulisic was 90 minutes back from injury or something of the sort. And I was asked, who are CONCACAF's best players right now? And I felt that list reflected right now. Christian Pulisic with 90 minutes under his belt doesn't get in ahead of those that I had.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.